Hi there, welcome to another informative show. Today we highlight the country's efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19. A threat to that process is the circulation of fake news. So the government has created a website which provides up-to-date information on response measures and other matters pertaining to the virus. The website address is jamcovid19.moh.gov.jm. There you may also do a self-assessment to determine your exposure to the virus. There are also links to contact the Ministry of Health if you have returned to the island recently from a country with local transmission, such as the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom. This is Jamaica Magazine, and I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay with us. There is so much to see between the pages.
What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19? Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Up next, highlights of the recently held press conference on the coronavirus.
The first measure that I would like to address is the movement of citizens. We have gotten reports from right across the island, and it is clear that whilst there was a fairly high level of compliance to the various orders that were made over the last 2 weeks, that over the last weekend, we recognize that there is an increase in movement. This increase in movement has come at a time when we are expecting that there would be a greater probability for infections, given the fact that we have had coming into the island close to 7,000 visitors and residents and Jamaicans and citizens, of which approximately 1,500 left the island. So we're still having a considerable number of persons who would have come into the island who we cannot say with certainty that they were faithful to the quarantine rules. And therefore, they are generally abroad in the society. They are within the country, moving around. The challenge with that is that that could be the precursor of community spread. And so the more you are moving around, the more likely it is that we could have an increase in the numbers. Effective 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. for 7 days, starting on April the 1st. There will be an all-island curfew. Let me repeat. The police has been instructed to enforce an all-island curfew starting at 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following day. And this starts on the 1st of April to the 7th of April. In fact, AG, it would roll into the 8th of April at 6 a.m. Just to be clear on that.
We currently have 36 confirmed cases of COVID-19. That's 4 additional cases from previously announced, so 4 additional cases in the last 24 hours. The members are a 54-year-old female from St. Mary, and the mode of transmission is under investigation. A 34-year-old female from St. James with a travel history to New York. A 74-year-old female from St. Catherine with a travel history from New York. And our first frontline healthcare worker, a 45-year-old female with a contact with someone who was being treated, one of the positive cases. I'm happy to report, however, as the Prime Minister said earlier, that she's doing well. We believe that her prognosis is very positive and that she will recover. There are now 23 imported cases of the total number, 11 import-related, 2 cases are under investigation, and the average age of the persons who have been infected is 52.7 years, ranging from a minimum of 24 years to the eldest at 87 years. The ministry is pleased to advise, too, that one of the patients, patient 5 from St. Anne, who tested positive for COVID-19, has now recovered and has been released from hospital. So I think we can celebrate our first fully recovered COVID-19 case. This is patient number 5. And there's a protocol to determining when one is released. And I want to just outline that and then make one other point. That individual, having been treated and become asymptomatic, meaning not displaying any other symptoms, would be tested twice within a 48-hour period. And if the tests return negative, then the conclusion is the person is fit and ready to be released. And this has been the case with this individual.
This is the time when we have to be extra vigilant. We have been doing pretty well so far, but I want the population to realize that we now have 36 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the population. That means that at this time, we have the potential to have more cases. We have a lot of persons who have come into the country who may not be self-isolating or self-quarantining themselves. And these persons pose a very, very great risk. They pose a great risk for the numbers to shoot up. So the population has to understand that while it appears to you that things may be looking good, if it is that you do not take action now, then things have the potential to get very worse. Right now, we are following a trajectory that is looking at a doubling of the number of cases approximately every 8 days. If we continue along this trajectory, then we will keep our cases reasonably down. We will continue to keep the curve flat, and flat meaning below what it is that our health system is able to manage. If it is that persons do not stay at home, persons who have traveled to countries where where they may have been exposed, if they do not stay at home, they have the potential to infect other persons, and our numbers are going to go up. If there are persons who have had contact with our 36 confirmed cases, if they do not stay at home, then our numbers will also rise. And we will move from a potential doubling every 8 days to possibly a doubling every 5 days, and worst case, where we could have a doubling every 2 days, resulting in a significant number of cases. According to the graph here, 4,608 possibly confirmed by the 12th of April, if it is that persons do not take their responsibilities seriously and stay home.
We will amend the order to require now, to mandate that those persons who came into the island and who are still here between the 18th of March and the 23rd of March, that they must report to the Ministry of Health utilizing the website which we published the last time, which is jamcovid19.moh.gov.jm, or call the Ministry of Health's hotline, which is 8881-LOVE. We ask that you utilize those two routes to contacting the Ministry of Health, and we ask that you faithfully disclose to the representative who answers the phone or the website that you're interacting with all the information that is required, particularly of your current health status and whether or not you were maintaining the quarantine, and how we can get in touch with you in terms of your address, telephone number, so we can understand your health status and assist you if it is that you are showing symptoms. So we have taken a second look at the order for markets, and we have decided that we will make an adjustment to the order, and that is from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we will increase the opening hours. The order now stipulates that markets are open from 6 a.m. in the morning to 2 p.m. in the afternoon for the week. Now we're stipulating that from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the market will open at 6 a.m. as specified, but they will close at 6 p.m. And that is to allow persons to use the market without clustering in the market, to allow persons to have more hours for scheduled visits to the market than to have everyone trying to get to the market before closing at 6 and therefore having congestion in the market and reduced space for social distancing.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Quarantine has been identified as a good method to flatten the curve. There is a difference, however, between staying at home and being in quarantine. There are also procedures to be followed if a person or community is quarantined. Take a look.
The purpose of quarantine is to closely monitor patients so that symptoms can be picked up early and the appropriate measures taken.
This tool of public health, quarantine, works by separating and restricting the movement of people who may have been exposed to a contagious disease to see if they become sick. As many countries, and eventually Jamaica, began to grapple with the introduction of a new strain of the coronavirus called COVID-19, quarantine has been one of the measures implemented. In Jamaica, it begins at our ports of entry. Government assessed the risks and identified several countries that posed the greatest risk to introducing the virus on the island through travel from their citizens or Jamaicans in the diaspora. Travel was restricted, and those granted landing privileges were assessed and determined if they needed to be quarantined. Persons are generally placed in quarantine for the established incubation period of the particular disease. As it relates to COVID-19, that's 14 days.
When we place persons in quarantine, what we want to do is to monitor on a daily basis and to ensure that if there are any symptoms that are developing, we pick it up early before the person reaches to a point where they are coughing or sneezing and are more likely to be able to spread the virus.
There are, in general, two ways in which persons can be quarantined: in a government facility or at home.
The process of quarantine persons at home is not a simple one that we just send persons home. The homes are investigated by the health departments. We ensure that there is adequate space for the person to remain far away from other persons, and we ensure that the person is educated as to how it is that they conduct themselves, how it is that they move around. We ensure that the family is also educated, and then the health department checks on this patient on a daily basis. Now that check may mean that the person may be given a thermometer and they're asked to check their temperatures, and they're given a log that they monitor their symptoms, and this is reviewed by the health department on a daily basis. If necessary, the health department visits the home on a daily basis as well. So we restrict persons who are in quarantine from going outside of their homes. And essentially in a home, what you really need is just a room and an adjoining bathroom. The general precautions in terms of making sure that you keep your distance, 3 feet is what we recommend. The person who is at home who of course does not want to spread any possible thing that they may have to their relatives will take the necessary precautions in terms of some of them may wear a mask, okay, to prevent. If they're talking to their relatives or friends, they may choose to wear a mask. The washing of hands is very, very important, because any kind of droplets that get on your hand, you can transfer to your face, and you can therefore get it into your ear passages or into the eyes and cause an infection. So the washing of hands, making sure that you have that facility, and also for hand sanitization, if you don't wash immediately, that is also recommended.
As at March 17, there are 4 government quarantine facilities across the island.
Essentially, for a quarantine facility, what we really need is that the person is separated from other persons and there is minimum contact.
When persons are quarantined at one of these national facilities, they are kept in a room and monitored daily by members of a healthcare team. They are fed and their daily needs met during the quarantine period. In some cases, a third form of quarantine may be required: the quarantine of an entire community. Like home and self-quarantine, residents are required to be quarantined in their homes for 14 days. They are required to remain inside their houses and not wander about in the community unless necessary. They must remain within the mapped-out boundaries of the community, which are now manned by the security forces. During the period, government will deliver care packages to the residents, which include food, water, and in some cases, medicine. They are also educated on what is happening to them, what to expect, and how to prevent the situation from escalating. Whether persons are in home or government facility quarantine, it is important that they abide by the quarantine guidelines, maintain a positive attitude, and contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness COVID-19 helplines if someone in the household gets sick.
To properly carry out a hand rub, Apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
As we strive to protect our physical well-being, we must also ensure that our finances are intact. We should not overspend or buy unnecessary items. Now is probably not the best time to splurge on clothes or fashionable accessories. The uncertainties surrounding the virus is a reminder that we should pinch our earnings. Here are a few tips on how to protect our savings.
With COVID-19 now in Jamaica, we are being advised to stock up on hygiene supplies that can be used to protect ourselves, as well as to have at least 2 weeks' supply of food and water in reserve. A lot of us may not have the disposable income to readily do that, at least not without tapping into a little savings we have managed to put aside. But financial experts will tell you, whatever the need, it is important not to deplete our savings, and money management is critically important. But how to do that? First, don't rush to shop, or panic shopping as they put it. Why? Because you may buy things you don't immediately need, leading to wasted spending. Next, I would say assess your home situation. Check how many persons are in the family, if there are babies, toddlers, and persons with special needs. You should then decide on the amount of available money you have to spend. Make a list of the things you need. The experts suggest at least 2 weeks' supply of basic food items and medication. To help with your shopping list, it's a good idea to work out a meal plan for the period. Next, be disciplined. Try not to divert from this meal plan too much and finish the supply early. This would mean going back to the store to spend more money. Protecting your health is priority number 1, and being smart with your expenses actually supports that. We must remember that we are not sure how long the country will be going through this pandemic. So, as best as possible, we need to ensure our money can carry us through for as long as possible and hopefully have reserves for after.
From the data, we can see that most countries will enter a phase of rapid increase in cases. However, depending on the containment measures employed and the timeliness and effectiveness of their implementation, the severity of the increase in infections can be managed downwards. Empowering citizens with information that encourages responsible personal hygiene and community health behavior, such as washing hands regularly and staying home if ill, tracing and containing infected and contact cases, that is quarantine measures, and implementing social distancing measures, gathering restrictions, for example, have real effects on slowing down and containing the spread of the virus.
It is said that by May, the country may have reached the peak of confirmed cases of COVID-19, but the recovery process and further containment measures may still be in place for a few more months. So, what else can you do to protect your financial health? A key thing is to not max out your credit card and income because you are worried that supplies will run out. Check for moratorium on mortgages and loans. Use this as a reserve cash flow instead of your pay or savings. I know it's easy to get off track with plans, but we have to be disciplined and we have to prioritize, now more than ever.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, wishes to advise the public that the Mandela Park in St. Andrew is closed. This is in adherence with government's restrictions on gatherings in public spaces. The halfway tree-based park will be closed until further notice. The NSWMA will continue to closely monitor the announcements of the Ministry of Health and Wellness to make decisions in the best interest of the citizens of Jamaica.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, is calling on citizens to properly secure garbage for collection. The entity also warns you to call if there is a pileup of domestic solid waste in your community. Watch this.
Solid waste management is a critical component of curtailing local transmission of COVID-19. As householders strive to keep their homes and frequently used surfaces clean, domestic garbage collection is now even more important. The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has called on citizens to partner with the agency in taking all measures possible to contain the spread of this virus. The recommended actions to support the sanitation crews are securing household garbage by properly bagging, tying, and placing in a container for collection, double bagging garbage containing tissue, gloves, face masks, and diapers, placing storage receptacles at the front of the premises where they can be accessed without hindrance 24 hours per day. Persons with uncollected garbage are also encouraged to contact the agency through the following media. Call toll-free at 888-CLEAN-JA, that's 888-253-2652, or WhatsApp 876-448-3220, or email nswma@nswma.gov.jm. Visit the agency's website www.nswma.gov.jm and reach out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The NSWMA continues to work closely with the Ministries of Local Government and Health to ensure the welfare of employees and the citizens of Jamaica.
You've reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks so much for being here with us on today's journey. Another Jamaica Magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back same time on this same station. Until then, click on our social media pages for more informative features and head over to our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to our pages and channels so you can stay in the know. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.